send you a invite to speak. So we're also waiting on Idubbbz' coach to join us, but we got the one of the MVPs of Craig Clash, Hundar. What's going on, man?
How we doing?
Nothing much, man. Just this time last week, man. Oh, we got both our guests. We got both. We got Michael and Hundar. So okay, so everybody, if you don't mind, the little arrow on top, we can share it. Let's share this on your IG, Twitter, and all that, and we'll get the show rolling. So our two guests, we got Michael, who was Idubbbz coach. We got Hundar. Uh, First thing first, man. Hundar, how you feeling, man?
I'm doing okay. I'm not as sick as it could be, so I feel pretty good. I'm doing all right. I'm hanging in there.
I know, man. You just revealed today that unfortunately you have COVID. So I'm like, man, you've been fighting for 7 straight days. You fought AB, and now you're fighting COVID.
Yeah, imagine winning your boxing match and then losing to like a germ. It's pretty sad. Major L, but it's okay.
So, which one is giving you the tougher fight, COVID or AB?
Well, I don't have to do anything for this one. I can just lay here. You know what I mean? I'm good. I'm good on this one.
Gotcha. And Michael, man, how are you feeling today?
Doing well, doing well.
All right, man. And again, Michael, thank you for taking time to be part of the show. If you would, man, you just introduce yourself to the chat in case you're not too familiar with you.
I'm Michael Briggs, Bonafide Boxing. I was Ian's coach, but I also probably worked with like half the card on that show.
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
And so, Michael, I will say, we had a week to digest this, man. So after a week after the event, how how can I phrase this? How was your overall feeling of the event and of the fighters themselves?
I think the event was a huge success. So like my point of view of the event was me backstage trying to make sure everybody had their hands wrapped, trying to make sure I had blue and red corners, so I'm running back and forth. So like my point of view of the show during the show was just extremely busy. I was just running around nonstop. Um and it sucked because I really wanted to be in Alex I did a things corner because I worked with him a lot too. And I wasn't able to be in his corner, so it was just a lot of running around and a lot of just making sure everybody was okay and that the show was like running well, and then making sure everybody was able to warm up on time, had their hands wrapped. It was just a lot of like behind the scenes stuff that as a coach you have to deal with. So for me, that's how the event was. But man, I could just tell like the crowd was electric. I asked my brother afterwards, he watched it live and he said it was one of the best live events he's ever seen. So as far as like the people whose opinions I cared about, those opinions mattered, and they all said it was a good show. So that's what matters.
Absolutely, man. I was actually watching it from work because, like, at 7 p.m., there's nothing to do with my job. So I have my headset on, and like
Bless you.
each fight got better and better and better. And I think Face and saying Way said like, I know we keep saying this, folks, but it literally keeps getting better, better, better. And I was like, holy shit! Like where's the cool down period? Like it exceeded my expectations for sure.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, that's just what we hoped from the show. That's kind of like how Anissa tried to stack the card too, was like Anissa Ian's wife, she tried to make sure that like the car, like she was in charge of a lot too, between like us and the promoters. There was so much that happened like behind the scenes. And so yeah, she just wanted to make sure like she was in charge of like how that the lineup even went as well. So yeah, so like the way that lineup went and the way it like built up, or even had like maybe a little bit of a lull with Eric's fight, unfortunately, but then like built back up and everything, you know what I'm saying? So it was a good night, man. Like they set it up really, really well.
Yeah, I have nothing but nice thing to say because on my IG and Twitter, which is Fight Lounge, I cover everything: UFC, MMA, boxing, and YouTube boxing. But when it comes to YouTube boxing, man, this is top three, maybe even top two event. Like Like again, KSI's going to have his year. I mean, excuse me, KSI's going to have his event later on this year. His manager, Mams Taylor, he tweeted like, "Yo, respect." This put pressure on him. Like Craig Clash is now the standard. It is the golden standard for YouTube boxing.
And that's amazing, man. If you only knew, like, um, that was just like Ian and Anissa came to me in June of last year and asked me if I would coach Ian to fight Rice Gum. And I didn't know who Ian was. I didn't know who Rice Gum was. I don't know who any of the YouTube world is. I coached like MMA fighters. I was from a team that worked with like, I worked with like Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse. I was under my old coach, Matt Hume, was like my coach for 18 years. So I worked with all like professional fighters for the longest time. And I was just about to go out on my own. And right as I was about to go out on my own, they reached out to me to see if I'd help them train, and I agreed to it. And then obviously the Rice Gum thing fell through, and then it's unreal. Like in 10 months, you literally said like that's the new standard, and that's what like Ian and Anissa were able to do off like just freaking Rice Gum calling them out, man. It's unreal. It's unreal.
Absolutely, man. It's just ridiculous. And everybody, and again, earlier this year we had Showstar, which is a huge letdown. And that unfortunately left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth for YouTube boxing. And then Craig Clash came, and YouTube boxing is no way dead because KSI's gonna come back, Jake gonna fight Logan. But even if it was, Craig Clash, it jet like at least 2 more years into it. That's how big to me event was.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, like just I just appreciate that so much, man. Like, uh, it was crazy to see that night happen and everything unfold because, man, like that's the thing. Ian didn't just fight that night, man. He promoted. He like people have no idea how proud of that guy I am, man. It's even hard to talk about still a week later because of how much work that guy put in, not in just like the fight, but like putting that whole event together, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Absolutely.
I'm so proud of him. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't get the result we wanted, but fuck, man, I'm so proud of him.
And I will bring Hundar in here, but I want to ask Michael one thing. I know it was a big controversy during the fight, Dr. Mike versus Idubbbz. The minutes, the rounds all get changed around, and you was in the corner. What was your reaction when all that was going on?
So I didn't have a third. Normally I have a third that does time, right?
Mm-hmm.
The day before, the guy was gonna have do third. So the day before, I find out during the private weigh-ins that that's when the people need to be there to sign up, and everybody's supposed to be there to sign their name. So we end up not having our third in the corner. So all I have is me and the cut man. So I don't even have an eye on the clock. I'm thinking these are quick ass rounds, but at the same time, when the fourth round ends, I thought the fucking fight was over. So I say to the ref, 4 rounds, fight's over. They even hugged each other. So I was like, oh, 4 rounds, fight's over. The ref says, no, it's 5 rounds. It's 5 rounds. And I said, man, we signed a contract for 4 rounds. And then he was like, it's 5-2. And then he just tells me it's 5 rounds. So at that point, like, I can't sit there and keep arguing with him. I just had to turn around and start coaching Ian. So I literally didn't even know they had changed it to twos. But you got to understand, like, this is the shit we deal with as coaches backstage. So, like, we're trying to put Ian's gloves on, and they're telling Ian he needs to wear 16 ounces because they're like, oh, no, you're an exhibition. You can't wear 12-ounce gloves. And we're like, man, this is in the contract for us to wear 12-ounce gloves. The way they settle it was they go, okay, if Dr. Mike's got 12-ounce gloves, you can wear 12-ounce gloves. Bro, that's not the way you settle something. I'm like, this is not like I'm used to like this is supposed to be the Pro Athletic Commission, and that's what's happening behind the scenes. And don't get me wrong, I actually don't really blame them because it was all exhibition, right? So they didn't realize there was a difference between 8 fights and 1 fight, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like we're back, like this is shit they should know. And then apparently as we're walking out, somebody says that they're talking to each other and they're like, this says 4 3s, and they're like, oh no, it's an exhibition, set it to 5 2s. So it's like these guys are telling us to wear 16-ounce gloves and do 5 2s when literally it's supposed to be 4 3-minute rounds with 12-ounce gloves. We were trying to make it as real as a pro fight as possible. We wanted 4 3s. We
Yeah.
wanted 10-ounce gloves. That's what we wanted. I wanted it to be a fucking fight, man.
You know that's so crazy because last June was social gloves, and the day of the fight, literally the day of the fight, if you watch social gloves, the first two pre-fights, the prelims, they was wearing head guards. Not even they was wearing wrestling guards, and we was like, "What's going on?" And then later we learned that the commission they try to make the whole event with head guards, and people was like, "No, like you said, it's in the contract. We're doing this and this and this." And
Right.
so on this tour space, you know, weeks before to a little break, I said we're going to see what happens during fight week. It always happens with even with Showstar. Showstar was going to be I think 12 ounce gloves, and then at the very last minute they switch it up. I don't know why it's only YouTube boxing. I don't know, but the week of the fight shit always changes.
Yeah. Well, and usually it changes because like they didn't really confirm with the athletic commission, but we like had this shit confirmed. So we like we had it confirmed. Like I said, like it was in the contracts because it was confirmed, right? So anyway, so there's this shit like that where it's like, when the fourth round ends and we're like, okay, fight's over, and then it's like, oh, we got another fucking round. Man, that's type of stuff that like that just adds to Ian's legend, man, in my opinion, bro. Like, are you kidding me? Like and that's the thing. You could say what you want about who that gave an advantage to, but we were training for 4 3s. We didn't expect that.
And excuse me. And one thing to pick, to follow up on that, on the first round, when it was a minute left and the bell rang, I mean, Wade was like, "Wait a minute, what's going on? I thought we had another minute." That's when Dr. Mike he talked to I think Philly D. He said he was actually going to turn up, and so the round ended. Whatever. Do you think that Idubbbz was in any trouble the first round? Like if it would went the extra minute, do you think he would survive? You think everything would have been good?
We can make up imaginary shit. How about Ian got a TKO 30 seconds left in the round if we're just making up imaginary shit?
Got you. Because
Like
that's
rounds that minutes that didn't happen in a fight. Like, have you ever been in a fight? Anyone that's been in a fight knows minutes that didn't happen. We might as well make up some fairy tale shit. Airsoft Fatty hopped in the ring, right? Like, what are we talking about?
got you. All right. Speaking to a fighter who was in the ring, Hundar, man, you was in a tough position. You followed Minx versus Haley, man. That crowd was going ape shit for that fight, and you didn't even get a chance to watch it. That fight you was preparing, right?
Yeah, it was kind of on. So they have you in these locker rooms, and then they kind of move you into this like little staging room, like right before your fight. So they've got TVs on, so you can kind of watch the fight that's going on before you. But like it's obviously not like the number one thing you're focused on or whatever. I was having some weird thing where they like came up to me and they were like, "All right, let's check out your gloves." And they're like giving us the gloves, right? Like the boxing commissioner or whatever. And I was like, I don't have any gloves. What are you talking about? And so like they had to go and give me my gloves, and then my gloves wouldn't fit over my taped up hands, and we spent like 10 minutes trying to like jam my hands into these gloves and shit. So by the time I got into that staging area, yeah, I was kind of like I was seeing a little bit of Minx versus Haley, but I was also like, dude, I haven't warmed up. What's going on? How much time do we have? So yeah, I couldn't really focus on what was happening like in the arena.
But yeah, man, like that crowd was going insane for that heavy fight, and then you and AB took it to a whole new level, man. Talk about the round where you dropped AB. Speak about how was you feeling? Were you feeling good when you dropped him?
Man, it's so weird, and I'm sure this is like true for everybody, like right, like this is everybody's first real fight, and even in the way that like things play out in the rounds. Like the chronological order of things was like all jumbled in my head. So like even when I got out of that third round, I like sat in my corner and I was like, dude, what did he hit me with? Because like he had to be like, he hit you with like a cross because you dropped your left hand, and then you're kind of like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's what I thought. But like I was like thinking of when I got hit, and then I thought it was a different time, man. It's just like you're just in like this different zone. So like when he fell, like you're also like for me, I was like trying to maintain whatever kind of just like mental state of like being in the fight, right? Where you can like I'm finally like I switched whatever switch and like okay, AB's my opponent, I'm in the competitive zone. but like, he fell, and I was like, oh, good. But it wasn't, it's not as like linear of a thought process as it would be if I was like calmly dissecting it, after the fact, or even like a sparring match. Like, stuff would happen and you'd kind of just react to it with like your lizard brain. On that level, but it wasn't like I was like, oh, I dropped him, I'm feeling good now, let me enact my strategy. I think in the moment I was like, oh, good, something happened that's beneficial to me, but it's just like so much sensory overload that then when it happened to me, I was like, oh, something happened to me now. And then I just get up and I'm smiling because it's like, it's still fun, and that moment definitely caught me so off guard, and like we're hitting each other harder than we've ever been hit in sparring, or at least like the hits are registering harder, right, because of the headgear. Like for me, it certainly felt like I was getting like, you know hits were hitting way harder. I was getting my clock cleaned when I would get hit by stuff. um and it's just, yeah, I don't know. So sorry, that's like a really long-winded answer, and
No, no,
I
you
have
good.
COVID too, so so my brain's a little cloudy. But I guess the what I'm getting at is just that like the headspace was so bizarre that it's hard to even like talk about like those little moments sometimes.
Gotcha. 'Cause I remember watching that fight. You dropped AB as a okay. I think Hunter got this, and then when you got dropped, faces and said, "Boys, we got some fight," and I was like, "Holy shit, we do!" Cause I did not expect that from AB. It just turned up, man, to a whole nother level. And you and AB, again, you two bosses been around since 2018, man. I gotta say, you and AB's.
Uh-oh, I think you cut out.
Oh,
Hey, I
Yeah.
think you were lagging or something.
Oh, okay, okay, I'm back. My bad. I was just saying the Hundar, man, you versus AB is one of my favorite YouTube boxing fights, man. It's been around since 2018. I've seen a lot of events. You guys, you definitely put on a hell of a fight. What do you think of the stoppage? Do you think the referee?
I think I think we're losing you again. You
Yeah,
asked me about the stoppage, like what
yeah,
my
yeah,
thoughts
yeah.
on it were.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know, right? It's like a lot of this stuff in the moment where, like, I went on H3, I guess it was this past Monday, and he was talking about it a little bit where, like, in the moment he wanted to keep going, but like being able to communicate that clearly to the referee who's looking out for like your best interest, especially as like first time fighters, isn't, I think there was a couple instances of that because I know Aaron, from Game Grumps, also was trying to say that like he hadn't meant to communicate that he couldn't go on so much as like, oh, do I have this time in this moment? And so I think, from AB's perspective, that's what he was saying, was that he wasn't, but also he was so gassed in the moment that he can't like communicate like, yes, I'm having an issue right now, but I'm good to keep fighting, so let me just reset and let's do it. um from my side, I don't know. I obviously I want everyone to be able to feel like they competed, to the fullest of their, ability. But at the same time, if I was in that situation, it's like, it's like I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. It's just like a double-edged sword, right? Like I would want the same thing of like, okay, well, if I'm gonna just be taking hits for no reason, then cool, and that's like what the ref is there to stop from happening. But also, if I felt like I could, there's only 52 seconds left in the round. That is not a lot of time. So you want to feel like you've got it, but um, I don't know. It's hard for me to tackle that question from his perspective, I guess. But there's a lot of stuff too, like even those drops, right, where it's like, I know they were really dramatic drops, like especially at the start of round 3 when he got dropped. But for him, he's like, you hit me harder at other times than that time. It was just my footing was bad in that moment. So then it's like really dramatic. And then like when he hit me, like I like, you like fall onto your knee. But like, was that the hardest hit? It's just the most dramatic moment. And like, it's cool that it happened. Obviously, that trade was like a really memorable part of that, that fight. Um, but it's just funny the way things play out and are perceived versus like what's kind of maybe actually objectively happening in the moment.
I love that you said it that way. Also, I gotta say, because I ended up being in AB's corner, I did not train AB for that fight. Wale did from Lucky Boy from Wild Card, but AB wanted me to corner him, and I told him I would. And so being in his corner, I think also like Hundar, like you had dropped him, so in the ref's mind, like he's already been dropped. So now that he's not really answering with punches, it's easier to stop it. Had he not been dropped before, they probably wouldn't have stopped it in that sense, right? So it's
Yeah,
like that's how I look at it, is like from a normal fighter's perspective, is like had he not been dropped, they probably wouldn't have stopped that. But you had previously dropped him. So I think that's how they were looking at it, is like we don't need to just let this happen because he wasn't really firing back. Um but man, dude, like that shit, like I loved your guys' fight. That was so fun, man. I loved it.
that makes a lot of sense. And again, it's like I don't have the perspective on this stuff, so I'm people ask me questions. I'm like, oh well, I don't. I guess I don't really know what happened. But that makes that yeah, that totally makes sense. And especially when you watch that, because I've watched that moment in particular a few times after the fact, just trying to be like, okay, what is it? And yeah, it's just a tough moment, right? Where he is kind of slumped. And then if you said something that you weren't super clear about, and then, yeah, they're operating off of that, then it makes more sense maybe than it would otherwise.
I also
Yeah.
want to say that I am happy that they took that approach because I forget somebody else. Oh yeah, the dad fight. Who he fought? I think was it who did dad fight the very first fight?
Matt
Matt
Watson,
Watson.
yeah.
Yeah. I think Matt Watson said like I think you mentioned on the 8th Street like he wanted to keep going. I'm glad the referee took care of you guys because again, you guys don't do this for a living. It's your first time, so I'm much rather a referee be too cautious than just not caring.
Same.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what I said about like Alex's fight with Odd Ones Out. So we had
yeah,
done work with Alex for 2 weeks before his fight. So I had done like a lot of work with him. Like I said, I really wanted to corner him because I became really close with him and Alexa
yeah.
from like Boy. They're fucking awesome. They're two of the best people. Uh, and so I really wanted to corner him, but I had Eric the fight before. So I had to corner Eric right before that, who I and then so yeah, so I didn't get a corner Alex, but same thing in Alex's fight, like he hadn't dropped James yet, but that one should have been stopped because when he was hitting James and James wasn't responding, James is odd ones out, right? So
Yeah.
Alex, I did a thing, he's hitting James. And when James is looking away, man, they should have just stopped it right there. Like Alex was like, they wanted blood, like they wanted me to knock him out. And the ref told him, "Hey, had you thrown another punch and like knocked him down, I would have stopped it." But it was just funny because like in AB's fight, they stopped it while AB was like still covered, while in James's fight, they were letting James sit there like a sitting duck, right? But I think in the commission's mind, or whoever's refing the fights, all right, one guy's already been dropped and one guy hasn't been dropped yet. So in their mind, like when they see AB's fight, he's already been dropped. It's the 5th round. He's dead tired. All right, we're gonna stop this now. While with odd ones out, they're like almost encouraging. Well, you got to drop him first. But
Yeah.
Alex is like, dude, I don't want to fucking send him to the hospital, man. Like this is not necessary. So there was all that. So that's why I think you see like the difference between the two.
And that's funny too, right? Because it's like one slumped over, and so it seems worse, but the other one's you can be standing upright and not defending yourself worse than if you're slumped over, kind of like
Hundred
still a little
percent,
guarded, right?
100% right. Well, and that's why you said it was funny about something you said about like what people see and what like perception is in the fight. Because there was a point in the 3rd round where like Ian's legs weren't there, so he was kind of getting knocked around. But at the same time, he said in the 3rd round he was like the punches didn't hurt me. So like even though people are looking like he said like the punch that like puts you down wasn't even the hardest shot that AB threw. So it's
Yeah,
like things like that. Like what people don't understand is like that what's actually happening in the fight and what people are seeing might be different things.
yeah, definitely. And like
Gotcha.
you spend days, like for me anyway, you spend days trying to figure out even what like you experienced, and even that's a more objective thing than some of the stuff other people see. So it's so crazy.
Right.
Well, Hundar, yeah, I know you're still recovering from COVID, man. But the question everyone wants to know: will you be fighting again?
Everybody, it's so funny. So like this ended, right? And I was like, okay, great. There's nothing I want to do less than think about like training or like what the next thing would be for a while. And I was like, man, everybody will be on the same level. But it's something about like and again, as first time fighters, and I can only speak from that perspective, there's something about you kind of get a taste for that, and then you take your plane ride home and you go back and you're checking your emails, and then like it's like the volume's still ringing in your ears, but like everything else is like getting reset to default, and then all of a sudden you're like, man, okay, but like how could I chase that again? What could I, what would bring me a little taste of that thrill? Oh, should I go spar with the guys again? And then someone's like, well, would you fight so and so? And then you're like, no, no, it's too early to say. But then you're like, okay, but if I was gonna say, it's been just like creeping in over the past couple weeks, and I know that like obviously Ian and Anissa, who definitely need to go on a vacation and like reward themselves for all this work, are already like being immersed into like, okay, well, what would a roster be, or who might be interested? It's like it's crazy. So I don't know. I'm so easy to sway from day to day where like I'll be in the Discord still talking to people and then get hyped up and I'm like, yeah, let's go. And then other days where I'm like, wouldn't it be nice to like enjoy your summer without worrying about like camp starting again? Like it's like Stockholm syndrome or something. We're all identifying with like our camp experience or something like, yeah, this is how I live now. It shouldn't really be normal, but I don't know. So it's an ongoing conversation. I think it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I'm trying to be a normal human about it. So
I mean, like you said, it was just 7 days ago, so I think
yeah,
like you just.
isn't that sick? Like what? That was a week ago.
I think so. Just a little bit too early to tell. And again, man, again, if you're one done, hey man, you prove yourself. You don't have to fight again. But if you do, I know everybody here will be watching you. I said it. You have the best game face in YouTube boxing. When you was making that raw and you was in that ring, I was like, damn, because we don't talk through Twitter space. I'm like, oh, this dude's a nice guy. And when I saw you in that ring, it's like, holy shit, he's an animal. He's an animal in there.
Well, you're all very generous. I'm also at the space now where it's kind of like, okay, you got your validation, but then you watch the footage and you're like, oh man, I forgot this and I look really bad here, and oh man, why didn't I think of this? And it's like, and then that's like another layer of motivation where you're like, I could have done better. I can do better. This is my first fight. Okay, let me okay. And then that's like its own form of sickness. You're just like trying to improve on something like, I don't know, it's for yourself, I guess. But so I'm on the critical mode now. I'm like, dude, I look like an ice age ground sloth at points. I watched a bunch of stuff in slow motion for this video I made, and I was like, look at AB slip these punches, you slow bastard. So I don't know, man. It's a weird world, huh?
If you was to fight, what weight class? Because we heard you had to like lose 20 pounds. Would you be like cruiserweight, like right under 200, or you be heavyweight over 200?
Well, I mean, it's hard to meaningfully regain that weight. Like for me, I mean, I definitely lost a lot of muscle mass, right? So like if I was
Mm-hmm.
going to meaningfully fight at 200, I would have to like actually regain the muscle, I think, and not just like pack on weight to pack on weight, right? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I mean, that's just me talking out of my ass, I guess. So I don't know. I mean, I'm here at 186 or whatever I was, for the fight. I guess it would make sense to stay here and like continue to sharpen the work I did at this weight, but I don't know. I mean, some of this is like, it's like last year or this year, whenever this happened. It's the needs of the fight, right? It's the needs of the matchups. It's like, can you do this so that we can have this? So it's hard to talk about ideal scenarios too, because sometimes it's just, it's out of your hands, I guess. So
Gotcha. Michael, a person who you was in corner for, I did think I definitely want to see him again. Do you know if he's gonna fight again or not?
Oh, so I wasn't able to corner him. I wanted to
Oh, you
corner him,
wasn't. Okay.
Coach Rick. So we were able to use a private boxing gym in St. Pete. for the last like 2 weeks of training camp. And so Coach Rick was the guy that had the pro fighters on that card, and he was able to corner Alex. But were you asking me about him fighting again?
Yeah, like I would like to see him fight again.
Oh yeah, I mean, oh man, like I love that guy. He's awesome. Yeah, I would love for him to fight again.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he wants to. But if he did, man, yeah, like right away when we saw him, I was like, oh, you're perfect for Ian for training camp to finish because you're long and you're quick. You know, he's like got a long build and he's really fast. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is a blessing to have him at training camp. And then, man, but him and Alexa were they're two of the most fun people I've ever hung out with. It was awesome.
Gotcha. Well, again, I want to thank you both for stopping by. At this moment, I'm gonna have the fans come in, ask you guys a question. We got Pepper Daddy. What's good, man? Got a question for the guys?
Hello. Yeah. So first of all, I'm just gonna say right now, Hundar, I think you had fight of the night, or at least not that round of the fucking year for YouTube boxing. That was insane. I think that's the first time I've ever seen two influencers knock each other down in a round.
Yeah, you're right. It's first time.
But yeah. But I was gonna say, because you're not naturally this weight, are you? That you fight AB at. What about Salt Pappy? You know that's a possibility. Like he got a win over Halal Ham. He's about your weight. And he's signed to Happy Punch. So, what would you say about Salt?
Isn't he like a for lack of a better term, isn't he a real boxer? Hasn't he been boxing for like years?
No.
I heard that he had like he moved. I mean, I've seen him. He moves like someone who has not just started doing this.
Oh yeah,
skill.
It took people by surprise with his performance, and obviously he fought a guy heavier than him. But that's what I'm saying. But it's potential. Like I say, it's only been a fucking week, so we'll give you some time to get back, think things through, and hopefully we'll see you again.
Yeah, well, thank you.
And one question for Michael as well. What's it called? Yeah, Idubbbz. Obviously, I said I want to see him fight again. And that. Do you reckon he'd be better in a lighter division? Because I feel like that extra 40 pounds might have slowed him down and stuff. I mean, he still looked great. I will say right now, he'd probably beat a lot of these YouTubers. It's just Mike obviously had the advantages. But I could definitely see him fighting, like beating a lot of people in the lighter divisions.
I really, first of all, I really appreciate the compliments. Also, second, Brett's just super humble too, or Hundar. You got to remember, Hundar is like super humble. So he's always like, he's very realistic and very humble. So it's hard for him to probably call anybody out. But then, as far as like Ian's weight class, for sure, man, like, it was hard for us to get to 188. The 188 wasn't an easy weight for him to get to. He wasn't exactly like having a diet I would want a fighter or recommend any fighter to have to get to 188, right? So for sure that wasn't it. Yeah, I mean it's up to him for if he wants to fight at a lower weight class or what he wants to do. I'm gonna support him regardless. I would definitely recommend us going down. So like 168 super middleweight, David Benavidez about to fight tonight. Let's go, baby. I love that team. Jose Benavidez team is awesome. So yeah, 168, 175. If we're looking at like pro weight classes, if we're just like making up stuff for YouTube, I guess 175.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And like you say, it is hard to call people out at this stage because this wasn't like a traditional YouTube boxing match. There's usually loads of beef in this, but this was quite peaceful. And one thing I absolutely loved, everyone was getting cheered. There wasn't a single person who was getting any dry crowd or everyone reacted. Everyone had a fan base, and I love that. I thought we need more.
Thank you. It was amazing.
Yeah, there's something like from Michael and Hundar, man. That crowd was electric. Talk about the atmosphere of Craig Clark.
Yeah,
I like that go first.
Oh, I was just gonna say I like that size of that space. Like 10,000 is like in Yingling Center in general. It's like kind of it's big, but it's cozy, right? It's intimate. You feel all the energy. You can hear. I don't know. Sometimes when people were chanting "twist his dick," I had no idea what they were saying. I thought they were saying pussy shit and I was like, are they jeering us because we're not throwing enough punches? And then I was like, that can't be right. And then I just kind of like phased it out. But like, I was like, damn, what are they saying? But no, it was an awesome crowd, and yeah, the space was really good too. That's all.
Yeah. So when I went to walk out, so first person I walked out with was Eric from the Internet Comment Etiquette. And all the criticism he's getting, it's like we only had about 17 days that he trained for that fight, and that includes the fight day. So we didn't even have barely 2 weeks to train. And DJ is pretty fucking good, man. Like that guy, he had already trained MMA before. He was
Eric was
helping
actually the
James
fan
on
favorite to win.
Oops, sorry, what was I saying?
Oh, sorry. So I was going to say, Eric was actually the fan favorite to win as well. Like everyone I asked, it was saying Eric's going to win. Eric's going to win. But yeah, it just went the other way. And when I heard he has MMA experience, like, hold on. When I was doing all my research for this, I like DJ. I didn't know he had any experience until the fucking moment it was mentioned. I was like, hang on, this guy's got MMA background. I mean, we've already had a few MMA background people, in these spaces and stuff, but still, that's good attribute coming in.
Yeah.
I think we need to ask though, what was with the headgear for that fight?
Well, so I think the headgear was that fight was only signed on 5 weeks notice. That fight was a late fight. So that's what people like don't understand is that fight wasn't like originally even on the card. I'm pretty sure Eric was originally supposed to fight. I don't know if I should talk about that. So I won't talk about it, but he was supposed to fight somebody else. And so originally it was going to be a different match. So he had lost his Eric's trainer had went out to Texas. And then when I went out a month out, when we all went down to LA, I go down there and Eric had no trainer a month out. So that's when he ended up coming to me with about like 2 weeks. And so we got in as much training as we could. And man, he's fucking a great guy, man. He's one of the best people I've ever met also. So that's the thing about this is like all the people that were a part of this card were some of the best people. So I was actually not opposed to him wearing headgear in that fight. It sucked that we had to it would have been nice if those guys would have had more time to train. If those guys would have had more time to train, we would have got a much more like entertaining product between the two. So it was just good that he had headgear on.
Well, speaking of which, Eric after the fight, he said he wanted a rematch. Now that we know he didn't have that much time to train, do you think if he had more like 4, 5, 6 months to fight, the second will be even better?
So I mean, I don't know if he'll beat DJ, right? Because if DJ trains for 6 more months, I wouldn't say
That's
that
true.
he'll beat DJ, right? So I mean, I'm just realistic as far as that goes. And I love Eric, so I wouldn't put him in. I would just not put him in that situation. So, and that's another thing. I actually wanted to call that fight earlier. I wanted to throw the towel in, and the cut man, he was saying no, give it time, and the athletic commission was like, oh, it's okay. So I actually wanted to fucking throw in the towel earlier, but then when the second round ended, Eric told me he didn't want to go back out. I told him he didn't have to, man. I was like, no. So, but if he had 5 months to train for a fight, Eric could be a beast. Eric could be a beast if he had 5 months to train.
The fighting soy boy shall return.
Yes. He's so man, everything he does is like when he talks, when he came up with a thing in Florida, the fucking golf cart chronicles or something, because he was driving a golf cart around.
Yeah.
One of the most entertaining things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, after seeing this card, truthfully, I would like to see everybody fight again. If they want to.
I really appreciate that. And that's what like Ian and Nisa wanted from this was to put together a card. One that people wanted to see, one that they were entertained with, one that didn't have like another that didn't have drama, and then like make sure that the product was quality enough so everyone wanted more. They wanted to see it again. And man, like you couldn't ask for more as far as that goes.
And I know you guys was, Hundar was in the fight, Michael, you was, calling the fight. But kudos for them for picking Wade, Face Sensei, even Morris. He killed it. That was a great commentary team. They all had great chemistry.
Yeah,
so
they were awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The announcer sounded so professional, man. It was so good.
Oh, absolutely, man. So like I said, I really can't think of anything bad because the crowd was electric. Sell crowd, 10K pay per view, 100K buys, and again, it's all going for a great cause, man. Like I really can't think of anything bad about the event.
Appreciate that so much. And like I said, man, it was for me the biggest thing was making these relationships along the way. Like I met so many good people. Like me and Brett had such a good time in Vegas, and like
Hell
the
yeah.
experiences we had, they're unreal. Like I would have paid for those experiences, and it was amazing, man. It was unreal. Like the people I met along the way, the experiences we had, and then the fact that like and we're able to donate to charity off of it, it's unreal.
And it was just like it's like a village vibe or something, man. Like Briggs and like a couple of the other coaches who had to just jump in and like like somebody needs something or so some of the coaches that the fighters trained with couldn't make the trip to Florida, and so people jumping in and being like, okay, like I want to make sure you're comfortable in the corner, like for like AB and like it's just crazy. And so like the amount of stress on you guys and like just like trying to help everybody get into their fights or like get their hands wrapped or just making sure like the amount of like looking out for one another was like huge. So just major props. Like you guys were we just felt so taken care of as fighters that like I can't imagine that being the case. I'm sure everybody's usually like, it's, here's my team, we're out for ourselves, whatever, maybe in like some different scenarios. But yeah, it was just an awesome vibe. So, and yeah, Vegas was so good, dude. It was so fun.
Yeah,
Speaking of Vegas,
oh, I just had to say because Hundar's corner, Mike Quick Flores is fucking awesome. It's like I think that's his name on Instagram
Twitter, I
too. But
think
he's an
so.
amazing, yeah, he's an amazing coach. Because we both had three corners that night, and we were both red and blue. So, like he said, man, we were just trying to take care of everybody. So it was crazy.
Speaking of Vegas, I've been wanting a YouTube boxing event or even a fight because even if Jake Paul was a fight, Tommy, the undercard is going to be influencers. But I've been wanting a YouTube fight in Vegas for years. Like, this been going on since 2018. Is ain't possibly a career clash too? Could be in Vegas or we'll stay in Florida.
I have no idea, bro. I have no idea. Wherever they like, the fact that we're even talking about Creator Clash 2 is just that means that things went well, man. So that just makes me happy.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I want to just say something real quick as well. The problem is, I feel like the athletic commission, like you said before, it only works in Florida for what you guys are doing. Like, I don't know if LA would allow this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So that's the only
Well,
problem.
well, allegedly that's where Osman Broom is going to have social gloves too in Staples Center.
That'll be
Mm.
very interesting. But I wonder if it's a professional fight. I doubt it though. If it's a full like card of influencers, but you know they could turn around and like with the whole 12 ounce. Oh, now it's 16. One of those situations.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Uh, like I have two things to say. One, that's a very good point, but also like money talks. So who knows? Vegas might win it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, like the people behind Court Class, they can go to Vegas and say, "Look, 10K here. We brought this much money to Tampa. Like, if they want to talk that money talk with them, they can."
True.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't know. We also might just want to like I appreciate Tampa and St. Pete, those places because they really took us in, man. So that was awesome too, though. So who knows? Maybe they'll want to repay them or even just repay Florida for allowing us to have it. Because all said and done, like yeah, there was the round changes that sucked, the glove situations in the back, this and that, but man, that event was awesome. So it's like
Yeah,
yeah, so and people don't need to see behind the scenes shit. You know what I'm saying? Like the product is what matters.
yeah, absolutely. That was the most important thing in every fight delivered. So I'd definitely be at Court Class too. Okay, I'm gonna bring another question. I mean, another guest for a question. Yo, if your speaker want to ask a question, ask away.
Hey, quick question for Hundar. Do you think you have the best beard in YouTube boxing?
I need to see the lineup My beard was looking pretty feral there by the end. That's like a camp beard. I was like, dude, should I shave this? Just so I like don't look like I crawled out of like a dumpster before the fight, and then I was like, dude, I
But low
can't.
key is like sick though. Like when you got like that dirty look, like it looks like you just been training. You don't give a fuck about like how you look and shit like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like it makes it look like you're about to win, like beat that motherfucker's ass. And that's what you
That's
did.
that's the mentality of it. I was like, dude, I can't shave it before the fight. So yeah, now I got I'm now at home with COVID, rocking it still. So, but if we appreciate it on that level, then yeah, I'll say it's the best.
And then one more question for Michael Briggs. So you heard that Dr. Mike, he had like 10 years of supposed experience. Like, so did that like worry you at all when you were bringing the Idubbbz in and training against him, or like how did that mentally affect you?
No, man. When I had seen him hit pads, I wasn't worried. I like I think it came down to he was just bigger. He was more athletic. And just it was I mean, Ian fought his ass off. So if we would have stuck to a little more of a game plan, I think we would have done a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, he's just Dr. Mike's fucking was bigger, man. So
Weight class matters in boxing.
yeah, exactly. There's and that's what, like, somebody made a joke before about like, oh, would you have Idubbbz fight Harley? And then me, and I'm friends with his coach Jesse, and we were there, and I was laughing, and I'm like, man, there's weight classes for a reason. Like, don't, like, people get unrealistic with things. Like, that's why I love Brett, because Brett's so realistic. Also, he does have the best beard.
Hey, would you fight a grizzly bear? Hey, would you fight two pit bulls?
Exactly.
Well, see, one thing about YouTube boxing is the loophole, and that is where, like, okay, it's an exhibition, so you guys don't have to be the same weight class or this, and so a lot of times with these fancy matchups, people are like, oh, well, you fought this person, we fought this person, and I always say, are they in a weight class? Are they even close? And when you do some research, no, they're not even close, and also, like, is it even worth it? Is it worth gaining 15 pounds for this particular fight?
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, yeah, I didn't regret it with Dr. Mike's 10 years experience, or I wasn't worried. Like, yeah, he just ended up being good that night. It is what it is, you know.
Yeah, I think sometimes, like, in the first take or skip whatever, they'll do like hot takes. Something can just be simple, like, hey man, the bear man won. And that's simple as that. I think Dr. Mike was just the bear man that night. He was,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that's the thing. Like everyone talks about how well I did a thing looked, and I love Alex, but it's like we did real well with him in sparring. There was nothing about anything like in the prep that made me like super worried that Dr. Mike was gonna like hurt Ian. I mean, hats off to Dr. Mike. He did better even than I thought he would, I guess. So it is what it is.
Gotcha. Anybody else got a question for guests?
Yes, not really. Oh, sorry. Jim. I was going to say, it's not really a question, but it was more like just like a sort of. We looked back 2 months ago. Deji and Wasabi went the distance, and it was kind of like, a dragged out fight. People just thought just one of those. With this one, people were telling me, oh, Ian's going to get absolutely scolded by Dr. Mike. They're saying that this guy can beat the Paul brothers. He went the distance with a man who has this acclaim that just looks better on Ian then. But like, that's the thing. Like, it was entertaining. He fought back as well. He showed so much heart, like everyone in this card did. But like, it shows. Like, I'm so glad we're sitting here now. And 2 months ago, we were talking about, oh, there was this headbutt, and oh, this guy was being racist. Everything. There's nothing you can really say about this event. It just went so cleanly.
I appreciate that so much. Yeah, I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody got a question for the guests?
Yes, champ. I got a question for Hundar from Muscle Body. Yes, champ. You did an amazing fight for an awesome cause. Super proud of you. And just want to ask you, what might be the requirement for the next opponent you pick? What might be the requirement which your next opponent should meet? And you'll pick your opponent with that requirement. And aside that, what could be the potential date for you to fight again? And will it be under the Creative Clash 2, or you can also get signed under Happy Punch? You're open to that, or you'll be just with Ian?
Uh, I don't know, man. It's been 7 days. I don't really have a list of requirements. Let's see. They're not Harley size. They don't weigh as much as Harley. They're not a bear. They're not two dogs tied together, tied to me. I don't know. I just I had no idea what I was getting into in terms of when they paired me with AB, it wasn't like me analyzing his stat line. It was like, oh, okay, cool. Someone associated with the channel I like. Oh, and they've got cool, like chill vibes. Okay, cool. It's such a different world, I think, than maybe how some other people do it. So even now, I would want it to be an exciting matchup and not just doing it to do it, I guess. But I don't know. It's too premature for me to have like really well thought out and intelligent answers to any of those probably very good questions. So sorry about that.
Thank you so much, Hundar. And also, thank you so much, Michael Briggs, for training all the fighters so good. I am happy all of them are safe. And once again, Hundar, you performed amazing for an amazing cause. And yes, have an awesome time. Thanks so much, Happy Bunch, for
Your
making.
artwork's amazing, brother. Your
Yeah,
artwork is awesome.
yeah. Shout
Yes.
out.
Thank you so
Hey,
much, Hundar. You are one of the
hey,
first persons who retweeted it.
hey. I was gonna say, if you guys need anything for credit class two art wise, he's definitely your guy.
For
Thank you
sure.
so much.
That his art was awesome. I loved it. I loved it. Good work, brother. Good work.
Thanks so much, everyone. Yes, I spent a lot of time over it. I wrote some nights and I really wanted to do it, and I'm super happy I did it. And thank you so much, everyone, once again. And I'd love to work for Creative Clash, Happy Punch, anyone. I'm open to anything. And thank you so much once again. You guys have an awesome time, and I love the Creative Clash and would be also paying to watch the Creative Clash too. I hope I can be there as well. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna let my man Pablo. Pablo was actually there in the stand, so it's good, Pablo.
Yo, what's up, guys? Just a quick question for Hundar and Michael. I just want to say respect to you guys as someone that's only been training like a year in boxing. I know how rough it can be and how much it takes just to get in that ring. So respect to you guys and respect to Michael for being a great coach as well. I was actually going to ask Hundar, now that you've been training in this and you kind of got that experience, and what's something that you think you're going to take on with you in life now that you've started boxing? Like something that's now going to be something you can't get over. Like you have to keep doing.
I mean, I think it is. Maybe it's boxing itself, right? Like doing all this work to transition off of just being like a weightlifter before, just like especially excuse me, especially for me, it's like I'm not like 22, so shifting anything that you're like your whole routine is based off of, in your late 30s is like for me at least, it was not like a light undertaking. And so being able to like sort of like hack your body again the way that you did when you like I first like put on muscle for the first time, really, and being like, okay, I can move fast, I can shake off some of these issues I had with like my knee and my shoulder from lifting and get like limber and like agile, like all that stuff was huge. And so I'm definitely taking that with me going forward. And I'm definitely not like, okay, well, let me revert back to just like, putting my headphones on and gonna go like just lift weight in the gym 5 days a week or whatever. So the whole process is staying with me. However that manifests into like my day to day is like still TBD. But no, the whole thing, honestly.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. I used to power lift myself, and I know what a difference it is to go from just lifting weights to doing the cardio that is boxing, and it's a transformation. And like respect to you, God of War, for doing it.
Yeah. Well, that's like the meme, right? It's just like you're always like cardio, ha 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 ha,
Yep,
and
yep.
then it's like,
And
oh,
now we are those guys. It's crazy.
yeah, yeah.
It's
It's
crazy
very strange.
for sure.
Yeah, Hundar, I was gonna say you actually brought 100 Thieves to first W in YouTube boxing. You're the first one.
Does that count?
Hey,
I'm not signed to their talent. They don't get to put that on the trophy. I'm just some guy who was there. Okay,
Well,
Vinny, they paid for Vinny. They can have Vinny's credibility. When I get a talent contract for 100 Thieves, then they can say that.
Hey, Alondra, does a paycheck have the little One Thieves logo on it?
Oh, they have full access. We'll see. I'm not even sure. I'm sure if you ask Nacha about my win, he'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" So, but that is funny. It is funny. And yeah, Vinny did good in his fight. He was like one of the few TikTokers who acquitted themselves well, if I remember right.
Only one. He's the only one with a W.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And he stopped Deji. So
Yeah.
I also, Michael,
very funny.
I
Oh,
wanted to ask
go ahead.
Michael, does he have a gym in St. Pete? Is that where he trains?
No, no. I'm based out of right now. So my buddy Luca Hosever owns a gym called Vigor Ground in Renton, Washington. That's where we're out of right now. So that's where I'm based out of. That's where I'm training most of the people. But when we were in St. Pete, we used a private boxing gym out there, but it's owned by Coach Rick Boxing. So and he's the man, and he's got some good fighters. And one of the fighters there fought last night, and one of them fights tonight. Connor Coyle, he's fighting in Orlando tonight. I got to check and see if he won or what his fight. Because he was fighting for the NABA world title. So go Connor Coyle, let's go, baby.
Yeah, I was just curious because I'm from down here, so I wanted to know if there.
Oh, okay. Oh, so there's a really good gym though, in St. Pete. God, it's off like 49th, I think.
Okay.
I can't remember if it's St. Pete Boxing Gym or but there is a really, really good gym. It's Keith Thurman trains there too, man. So
Okay.
it's a good
I know
spot.
which one.
It's a really yeah, and I met Coach Rob from there, and he's a good guy. So I mean, if you're over there and you meet a guy, Coach Rob, he's legit, and they should take care of you, man.
For sure. I'll check that out, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the support, man. I really do.
Yeah, for sure.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So I have two questions, one for Hundar and one for Michael. Hundar, what was your initial reaction to the stoppage? Because I've seen some people online say it was controversial, saying that AB could continue throughout the round. What was your initial reaction to when they stopped the fight?
Well, we touched on this a little bit earlier. I don't know, man. We were just in the middle of it, and so when it happened, when the stoppage happened, I thought they pulled us apart because like any of the other clinches, and then he waved it off, but I was just so out of it that I looked at the cut man and I was just like, what? It's over? And I looked for my coach and I was like, it's done. So I wasn't exactly lucid in the moment to argue the point or whatever. So, but again, whether or not AB wanted to stop it in that moment or not, I think he had said that he was trying to communicate that he probably could have gone on, but just lacked the actual physical ability to communicate it correctly to the referee. So.
Yeah, because I've seen some people call it controversial online. That's why I asked that question.
I think most people call it controversial online because they heard Moist Critical say a questionable stoppage, and then they just parrot it without having actually an explanation for why. But yeah, AB himself touched on it pretty well. So
yeah, because I've heard some because that's actually I think where it came from is because Moist and Wade I think said that it could have gone on. So I think that's where it happened. That's where it came from. But I have a question for Michael. Of course, Idubbbz is saying that he wants to box again. And he's saying he's willing to cut weight. What kind of opponent are y'all looking for? Are you looking for a Joe Weller, Austin McBroom? What kind of opponent?
So here's the thing: is I'm more interested in David Benavidez fighting, and I actually don't know who any of those people are. So whoever Ian chooses is who I'll go with. Ian Smart.
That's what I was going to talk to you, Michael. Again, you coming from the pro boxing MMA background, and now you're stuck in this. How does it feel when people name 4 or 5 different names of people who you have no clue who they are?
I mean, I love it because I feel like I should know who they are, but because I mean, when I find out who they are, I'm like, oh damn, that person's popular, right? But for me, it's I mean, look, like what is it, like is it David Morrell Jr., whoever it is? He's got one of the belts at 168. Who is it, Morrell? But he's got like 2,000 followers on Instagram, right? So it's like, for me, I don't care about the following. I care about the fighter, right? But for Ian, will pick the right people. He's smart. So I really wish I could have a better answer for you, as far as like the opponent that we're looking for. I do know, here's the thing, I do know a lot of guys are training out at Ashton Silva's gym in Long Beach right now. Because I did see Ashton was promoting Taylor Holder. So the only reason I know of those people is because like pro boxers and they're training out of a legit gym, right? Um, but as far as like who we're looking for, I mean, Ian's a smart guy. Ian and Anissa, they're brilliant in what they do. So I'll let them decide.
Okay, yeah, that's a completely understandable answer. But yeah, thank you for having me to answer questions. So yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Who would you like to see them fight? Was my question.
Wait, what?
I was just saying, like, who do you guys want to see Ian fight next? Who do you think would be a good opponent?
Social Showdown actually mentioned this guy Joe Weller. I think that would be very interesting.
Okay, appreciate it. Nice. So
if
I'll look that guy
Yeah,
up. I'll look him up.
not
if
about that.
if you don't know who Joe Weller is, he created the madness that is YouTube boxing.
Oh, okay.
He's the guy. With him and his friend Theo Baker, they was in an empty boxing gym. They had some guys commentated. He put on IG, KSI, jokingly said, "Oh, I fight the winner." Joe Weller took it seriously. Joe Weller took it seriously. KSI started training. They had the event KSI versus Joe Weller. I forget the date, but it was in 2018. I think January 2018.
February 3rd.
Okay, February 3rd, 2018, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So that's another person though, right? So, and has he been training like the whole time nonstop though?
Basically,
No.
the reason
Yes.
why I called up Joe Weller, Idubbbz originally called out a guy back in like 2016 called Jinx, and I can't remember what it was about, but that was even before the Joe Weller Theo thing. And I was like making like a joke saying the founder fight, the guy who brought us YouTube boxing versus the guy who basically started it before them as well. They're both similar weight. The only difference is the height, really. But the thing is, like, I think that would be a legendary fight. But yeah, it's the problem is Joe Weller has been like teetering between should I come back, should I not? He's dying to fight, but he just doesn't know if he wants to do it, and that's the problem. So
Right.
yeah,
Well, I was just wondering because it's like people were asking about like Jake Paul early on, and it's like that dude's been taking it serious for 4 years, and it's like that's why I love how realistic Brett is, because he's like, if
yeah,
he understands that when people have been training hard, like a lot of people don't understand, but it's like if you've been training hard for 4 years, that's hard to catch up on. If you've been
Yeah.
fitness boxing for 10 years, we still could catch up on you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Dr. Mike was a national champion in like Taekwondo. That fool has a better in and out footwork than I assumed. At the same time, like we could have done more work to get outside that lead shoulder. We could have done more, like better work using the jab, close the distance, like double, triple, not trying to have this action reaction every time we got hit. So there's like so much we can learn from in that fight. That like I'm confident that like even if the person does have more experience than Ian, it won't matter because we'll still be able to fucking catch up with like what we learned in that fight. But um yeah, I would just prefer with somebody a little bit more experience and a little bit more the same size. Cause like people don't understand, like Ian was stopping people with body shots. Like other people on this card that people talk about how good they look, Ian was able to stop them with body shots, right? So it's like
yeah.
if you're stopping people with left hooks to the body, right hands to the body, and those are two of the most talked about people on the card. And that's what he's able to do. So it's like if he's in there with somebody with his experience, he's gonna fuck him up, man.
Yeah. There's only two suggestions I can think that like fits his bill because Ian doesn't really want to fight people who want to cause beef and stuff. Like Alex Wasabi, I know he's meant to be like people are saying he's going to fight KSI. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's looking like it. And if that's the case, he might have to hold off. But Alex was originally meant to be on this card. And another person as well that people go on about is Slim. I know he's 3-0, but he would do this stuff at charity. In fact, his first fight was for charity against Boozy.
Oh no.
But it's just down to what Ian wants, really.
Yeah, it's down to what he also like. I mean, I like Alex. We actually went to Alex has a ring in his backyard, and we did some sparring back there. So we actually sparred Alex before his Deji fight. And Alex, I mean, he helped Ian quite a bit because it was when Ian was still earlier. It was like December, I believe, December of last year. So it was like early when Ian was like just new to sparring. But I like Alex, so I don't know if he wants to fight Alex. But I'd prefer probably fighting the other guy that we didn't go to his backyard and work with him.
Yeah, we'll
I'm
see.
tired of looking across at people like Brett that I love, dude.
Yeah,
I don't like that shit.
I'm gonna head out now, so I'll see you guys soon. But enjoy the rest of your
Thank
night.
you. Yeah, David's warming up, so I'm probably gonna take off.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, Michael, thank you for stopping by. Hunter, thank you for stopping by. Again, you know, I do this once a week, so whenever I have this, you guys are more welcome to come on.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. And Brett, I love you, brother. We had such good times, and I hope we can have more good times, bro. Fucking let's keep it going, brother.
Oh yeah, bro. Sounds good.
Thank you so much for having us on. Thank you everyone for listening. Thanks for the artwork from Aganor and everybody. I appreciate you guys.
My pleasure, champ. Have an awesome time, champ. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Take care, gang.
Thank you, guys.
And again, for people who's here, we're not going to end this. We're going to watch the David fight, and also on YouTube, we're gonna watch the Jake Paul new signee. So, so again, if you want to join, more welcome to join, be a speaker.
Yeah,